I scaled my agency to over $225,000 per month, and I've tried almost every client acquisition channel there is to get new clients for my agency. And while there's been some that have worked extremely well, some have completely flopped. So in this video, I'm gonna rank 16 different client acquisition channels from superior to an absolute flop. Let's get into it. So the first one that we're going to talk about, the VSL funnel, which is a video sales letter funnel, which is basically running an ad that goes to a landing page, and from the landing page, you fill out a form, which takes you to a free training, and then they watch a free training, which then prompts them to book a call. So this is a fairly good funnel because it provides a lot of context and a lot of authority if the prospect does actually follow the steps and watch the video. The problem with this though is that when I've tried this in the past, we were constantly chasing people down. And because we're promoting something that's free, what would end up happening, we got people who are just wanting free information, which are people who are just starting off. And if we're selling a service as an agency, the problem with getting a bunch of people just wanting free stuff is we don't have an actual opportunity to help them. So it wasn't really conducive to us getting results. And it also was just a lot of steps for the person to fill out, and it just ended up not working that well. So in this case, I'm putting the VSL funnel as a staggering C. The next channel that we'll talk about here is LinkedIn DMs. What you can do is you can DM a specific amount of people from LinkedIn. For those who don't know, LinkedIn is a great tool because it's a professional platform. You can basically use LinkedIn to use their advanced filters, use their search filters, and really find our ideal prospects. So the thing that I really like about LinkedIn is like we can literally pick who we want to target based off of their job title and know that we're going to reach out to the person based off of their job titles. Problem with LinkedIn that I've come across is their sending limit. You can only send around, I think the number is like a 30 DMs every single day, which limits the ability for us to actually scale with this unless you're creating a bunch of LinkedIn accounts. Another issue is there's a couple of steps. So we need to make sure that your audience as an agency owner is actually using LinkedIn. If your audience is on LinkedIn, this could be a super good route for you to go to start building momentum for your business and start building momentum from like a LinkedIn perspective and just starting to get conversations flowing inside of the DMs. But because of the scalability issues with LinkedIn, this is not really a conducive way to scale. So with that, we're gonna also put this at a nice little C there. So the next one that I'm gonna talk about here is Instagram content. So I would say one of the biggest reasons that we were able to scale our agency so quickly was having a really strong presence on Instagram because there's a lot of attention on Instagram. My audience was heavily on Instagram and heavily consuming Instagram. So I knew that if I wanted to get in front of my audience, I need to be present on Instagram. We would post every single day, educate our target audience from an agency perspective, who would then see us as a trustful resource for what we do, an expert in our field, which would then position us to get business. Problem with just relying on Instagram content that it's unpredictable. Like there's no real ratio. It's kind of just throwing stuff out there and hoping you get something from it. But I do think we are in that trust recession. And if we are not posting on Instagram consistently, we are not going to be seen as authorities in our space. I think there's a lot of really good attention on Instagram. And I think it is almost mandatory for us as agencies to be building our brand on Instagram in order to attract more customers. I'm gonna give Instagram an A. Absolute must to be building your brand in 2025. Next thing I'm gonna hit on is let's do cold calling. Basically finding a list of numbers and ripping the phone. What I did is I bought this software, I think it was called Phone Burner. I basically hired somebody and I was like, dude, just rip through these calls. We have an auto dialer, and the auto dialer would basically call the prospect. If they answered, it would go into a specific funnel. If they didn't answer, then we would send them a text message and an email follow-up based off of if they didn't answer, and then rinse and repeat. We probably did around 100 calls a day, which was pretty exhausting for the person that we had doing it, which is kind of part of the problem. I wasn't too keen on cold calling, mostly because we could only do about 100 calls a day. People don't really want to be disturbed. I don't think it's the market that we're in anymore where cold calling is as effective. And for us, for every 100 dials, we had 10 pickups. And it would take a full business day to get those 10 pickups. And the goal from those 10 pickups were to set one appointment. That was the KPIs that I had set for the person that was ripping the cold calls. It just didn't really pencil in my brain. I think we got like 1 or 2 deals from it from the stint that we were giving it a test at. And I love the software. I think it is really positive. But for us, it was just not a really good method to actually get clients because of the time it took to actually call and just the small percentage of actual appointments that we would actually get. I think this could work if you hired like 30 people to rip cold calls for you every single day and they're hitting your KPIs. But in my case, I don't think it's a good use of time for agency owners. I'm actually gonna give this bad boy a D. Networking events. So basically going to events and meeting people in real life. And this is something that I attest a lot of our business growth to early on, was just getting people to know who you are and what it's about. Like, we worked with a lot of people in like the real estate and mortgage space and a lot of local businesses because we did a lot of content, or we do a lot of content for people. I would oftentimes attend like business journal events, chamber events, industry events, and just go network and talk to people and become friends with the heavy hitters in the space that I needed to be basically know. Because I was so known, I was positioned, our agency was positioned as the go-to resource for all things marketing. The reason I like networking events is because that you establish that instant credibility. If we can build trust with people quick, like that's a huge net positive. The problem with networking though is the time that it takes to do it and the energy that it takes to do it, and potential cost if you are traveling to attend networking events. I would say if you're working with like high ticket a product, or like you're doing like super high ticket videos or like a really high ticket software, you probably need to have like a really deep relationship with people in order for them to transact with you. But for most agencies, I don't know that networking events would be the first thing that I would put on my list to try to win business. Maybe it's something that I would attend if something came up interesting, but I wouldn't get my hopes up in closing deals from networking events on a consistent basis. With that, let's put networking events at a solid C-. Instagram DMs, cold DMing. So basically this is the art of going on people's Instagram, finding them, sending them a cold DM, hope that they respond, turn it into a piece of business. So you have limitations before your account gets banned or you run out. So what I did, and I'm not saying this is the right way because it didn't actually work that well, is we bought 5 different accounts that we could send 50 different messages every single day from those accounts. I didn't have any KPI goals because I was kind of just shooting in the dark. So we posted content on all these accounts and we started ripping DMs. So that's a way to do it. The other way is to use your account and start sending DMs. So what we've seen from like the cold DM approach, positive to build some momentum from Instagram, especially if you're posting Instagram content. The negative though is just the sending limits and potential spam, and the fact that a lot of this stuff will just go into requests. I would almost treat Instagram DMs as like something that you do in conjunction with one of the A or S tiers that we're gonna talk about, but I wouldn't put my hopes into Instagram DMing just because of basically the scalability is not really high, and then also you're gonna land in the DMs. I think it's worth it if your audience member and they're really easy to find is on Instagram, but if you're DMing the front office every single time, not sure that would be a great use of time. So Instagram DMs, B-. So the next thing that we're gonna talk about, YouTube ads. A lot of attention on YouTube. YouTube is the second most trafficked website behind Google. The beauty of YouTube ads is there's a lot of people that you can get in front of. We kind of did a similar funnel where we had them click and they go to another page and they were able to download something or they were able to get something for free, and that was basically the funnel that we would be promoting through YouTube. Problem with YouTube is there's no like personal connection, and I'm still gonna have the same problem as like that VSL funnel where I'm gonna chase people down, and if I'm offering something for free, I'm gonna attract a lot of people just wanting stuff for free. I think there's good use for YouTubes, but from an agency perspective, just from the lack of like getting them right where you want them, which is like in your hands, being able to conversate with them without having to track them down, YouTube has not just been a great performer, and not something that I suggest doing from the jump, nor do I suggest ripping YouTube ads if you're looking for client acquisition at this moment, depending on your offer, depending on what you're doing, unless you want to consistently chase people down. So with that, we're gonna give YouTube a C-. All right, so next is going to be the authority funnel. So this is an ad strategy on Instagram. Basically what we're doing here is we're creating an ad that says, hey, target audience, if you're looking to desired outcome and you're struggling with pain points, just DM me the keyword and I'll shoot you more information on how we can help you desired outcome. And basically what we're doing is, unlike we're sending people to a landing page or a VSL to watch a free training, we're having them basically DM us a keyword. And what I can do is I can basically track every single people that have DM'd me that word scale. They go into a tracking system. In addition, what I'm able to do is I can literally just direct message the person that's DMing me, and I can have a conversation with them directly in the DMs. So we've tried all of the different ad mechanisms that I've talked about, and this by far has been the cheapest cost per lead by over $100, more than $100, just to be very transparent. And the reason is because we're able to get our lead from Instagram and get them into our direct messages in our conversation. In addition, what I'm able to do is I can follow up in the DMs. I can send voice notes in the DMs. Like, they're gonna start seeing my Instagram content, and then that's gonna start building trust. To us, that's been a huge net positive, and I'm also able to like basically pre-qualify them before I jump on a call. The problem with the authority funnel is that it can sometimes take time. It's gonna take refining your product, gonna take refining your copy, your offer, all that sort of stuff in order for it to be effective. But the authority funnel is something that we've been running running. We spent over $600,000 on the authority funnel alone. So in this case, I give this a S tier. Let's go to TikTok top content, another really trafficked website. We've posted on TikTok for the last probably 4 or 5 years, fairly consistently. Wouldn't say we're posting like natively to TikTok. That's like specific for the platform that platform typically favors, but we've been consistent. The result has been nominal. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten one client that said, I found you on TikTok. And I've seen this be consistent across the board. Like, if I think about the consumer of TikTok and I'm just thinking about myself, it's like, I'm going to TikTok to like ease my mind a little bit and entertain myself for a minute. And if there's an ad on there, I'm not gonna really take it that seriously because that's kind of the context of TikTok. So for that reason, it's gonna be a D. Here, let's go to podcast funnel. Basically creating a podcast and not just having a podcast be a form of entertainment, but a lead gen tool. Let's just say I do home service lead gen or something like that. So what I would do is I wouldn't just talk about home service lead gen all the time. I would find top home service providers throughout the country and I would invite them to come on my podcast and I would have an hour-long conversation with them. And then at the end of it, I would say, hey, thanks so much for doing this. Like, here's what we do. Like, pretty much like a booked call is kind of how I would look at it. And then after that, you would post it and there'd be a good association of you talking to these high-level home service companies, talking about themselves, you building relationships with people. I've seen this work really, really well. The problem is the time and effort ratio to get somebody on a podcast with the hopes of potentially converting them with not a lot of context of the person for them to convert them. It can kind of feel maybe bait and switchy if you do like try a little bit too hard on it, and it just could not be a good look for you. There's a guy inside of Agency U doing this really well because he has a high level YouTube package offer essentially that he offers to real estate agents, and he only works with a really specific niche of real estate agents who have to be top performers. And it's really hard to get in front of that top performing agent when there's a ton of different agents that they need to work with. So he has a podcast where he invites them on and he's closed multiple deals from it. Also costs him a good amount of money to do, a good amount of logistical stuff and planning. But for him, because his specific audience is a really small total addressable market, this works really well. If you're an agency and you have a similar thing, podcast funnel could work. But if you're just like most agencies probably watching this where you have a couple $1,000 a month ticket package that you're trying to rip, I would probably not rip the podcast funnel right now because there's better ways to do it, like what we've been going over. So for that case, I'm gonna give the podcast funnel a nice little C. How's that? Let's talk about referral partnerships. So again, one thing that I loved was referral partnerships because we would build relationships with somebody who had an audience that we wanted to get in front of. So I'll give you 2 examples of how we did this at our agency and how it probably over $200,000 a year just from one relationship. When we were starting out, we worked with a lot of people in the real estate space. I knew that mortgage and loan officers, they wanted to get in front of real estate agents. So what I did is I built a relationship with the mortgage offices in my location that we were serving in order to get in front of the real estate agents, because the mortgage loan officers, their main client is going to be real estate agents. So I would say, hey, mortgage loan officer, we should partner up on a lunch and learn, and I can teach all these real estate agents how they can grow their business using social media and using video and our strategy, which is what we offered. What I would do is I would show up. They would cold call the real estate agents because they wanted people to show up because they also want FaceTime. And there would be a plethora of real estate agents showing up at the event. And I had the opportunity to basically give a presentation about what it is that we did. And then they would then say, wow, this person's the authority. If I'm thinking about all things social media, I'm gonna think about this guy. And I could also then sell my services from the state. I did that a ton. I probably did 1 to 2 a month. And it was really, really solid, really, really solid for us. Another way that we did this was there was an association for like home service. Basically, the home service company paid this association to basically be a part of this group. And then the group obviously wanted to add value to the home service companies. So what I did is I offered to add value to the home service companies from social media perspective, basically pre-creating some packages, adding value through speeches to them, and really positioning myself as the go-to no-brainer as it pertains into that group. So this was a referral partnership that I was able to develop, which also added business to our agency. I would say this is a long game. It takes time to crack the code and get in there. But once you're in there and once you're able to get in as a referral partner for some of these different businesses, it can be a really solid funnel that doesn't cost you that much money in order to get clients. Would I prioritize this over cold DM, cold LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff? Probably not. But if you're a growing agency and maybe you start having a predictable way to get new clients and you have a predictable channels to get new clients and you're looking for that basically oomph almost, or like take it to the next level, this could be something really solid to consider. So with that, with all the context that I just gave you, I'm gonna give this also a B minus. Talk about Indeed/jobs. So one thing I see a lot of people in agencies talk about and creators talk about is, oh, I'm gonna go on Upwork.com, I'm gonna go on Indeed, and I'm gonna look for people who post a job for XYZ, what you do, and they're looking for somebody full-time, and I'm gonna go apply for that job, but I'm gonna apply as a subcontractor and try to convince them that they don't need a full-time. But I've seen this work really well with agencies inside of Agency U. I kind of put myself in the consumer shoe. If I'm looking for a full-time person, kind of depends on the job too, but if the job is like full-time marketing manager, you're an agency and you're applying for that job, like I'm gonna be a little bit frustrated that this person applied and wasted a lot of my time to actually be considered for this position, and it might not be a fit. But if it's clearly like, hey, I'm looking for a contract editor, I'm looking for somebody to help with lead gen part-time on a contract, perfect, that would make more sense. But this specifically is talking about people posting jobs in reverse engineering. Similar to a lot of the ones that I've talked about here, like I think this is a channel. Do I think it's a superior channel? Absolutely not. I wouldn't necessarily like recommend you just, again, like sit on Indeed and like look for people who are posting jobs and then apply to them, just because again, like the effort, time to apply doesn't really seem that high and like much of a net positive in my eyes. So in this case, I'm actually gonna put this as a D. Let's avoid that one. Let's talk about cold email. So basically sending cold emails, getting a list of people that you can send an email to, and then sending an email to them with whatever it is that you're offering them. Cold email has been very responsible for a lot of revenue at our businesses because surely the scale and the ability to land in people's inboxes. Like the thing I really like about cold email is what I can do is I can literally scrape a list of people that are in my target audience. I can get their email. I know that it's going to actually get in front of them for the most part because I mean, most CEOs, most business owners, they're on email. Every niche checks their email. What we have the ability to is we can scrape emails of business owners and send them in the emails. Why I love this so much is because it's scalable. List building is super simple. You can buy a list, you can build a list, or you can basically use software to build your list for you. And then what we would do is we would write really direct copy to get the prospect to raise their hand. I mean, a lot of people make mistakes when cold email, and that's why they have not a lot of success in it because they're trying to sell in the first email. First email, we just try to add value. Say, can we send you something of value that could help you with the pain point? From there, we set an appointment and we basically get a prospect from cold to warm, and then we do the diligence of following up on Instagram, on LinkedIn, email, phone, etc. There's not a lot of lead gen ways without spending more and more money that are as effective as cold email with the cost that you need to put into it. I mean, a couple $100 to send even like 100,000 emails every single month, like that's unheard of. So for that, I think cold email is a great tool if you guys do it right, so that I'm gonna give it a rating. Next thing that I'm gonna talk about is YouTube content. I said this earlier, YouTube is the second most trafficked website behind Google. So people are going there to learn how to do something. YouTube's a great resource for you to create content to build trust with people. The other good thing about YouTube is it's long form content. The number is people need to see 7 hours of content from you before they decide to work with you. And YouTube basically accelerates that because you're able to create content on a consistent basis that gets in front of people, that constantly builds trust. Problem with YouTube is also like the audience thing. You got to really think about your target audience. Is your audience going on YouTube to figure out how to solve XYZ pain point? If you're working with people who like are super high level and you're working with somebody who just appreciates just getting stuff off of their plate and hiring somebody to do it for them, maybe YouTube's not the best. But I think there's a lot of attention on there for ambitious business owners wanting to scale. There is an art to YouTube. We can't just slap up videos and think that it's actually going to convert people. I think this peppered with like the authority funnel and Instagram content and cold email is a massive combo that's going to also build trust and allow you to be positioned as the most trusted. I also like doing YouTube videos to like send to people throughout sales presentations or like throughout trying to book a call or using follow-ups or stuff like that, because it's a great nurturing tool as well, and they stay on forever. If done right, YouTube can be a really, really, really solid secret weapon. I don't think it's going anywhere. So with that, we're gonna give this a A-. Let's do referral program. So referral program, basically just offering your clients a discount, something for free if they refer somebody over to you. Another good thing that we've been able to successfully implement and get a lot of deals as a result of simply having a referral program in place. What we would do is in our onboarding presentation, so when we onboard a client, we would set the expectation, hey, like we have a referral program, here's an easy way to make $750 is you just got to send somebody over to us, and if they close, we'll send you $750 or give you this as a free service. And then the client really gets to choose what it is that they're wanting to do. So what's important with the referral program is that we set the expectation information early in onboarding, and we constantly reinforce it. So there's really a few different ways where you can reinforce it. Happy client or a recent win. If you have a happy client who they're really satisfied with their service and they're expressing it potentially on a call, and that's a great opportunity for you to reintroduce the referral program to them and then see if they have anybody that is looking to also achieve the results that the client is getting. What we need to make sure when it comes to using a referral program is that we present it early and we present it often in key checkpoints. And you also need to make it really, really easy for them to refer. I just like to create like a referral form, like a refer a friend with a hyperlink, direct them to a form, and then they can just quickly fill out a form with the prospect's details. And then what will happen is it'll shoot you an email and it'll thank the prospect or the person, the client, whoever's referring the piece of business over to you completely automatically. So referral program is basically a must if you're an agency owner. For that, I'm gonna give this a B. Last but not least is going to be a lead form funnel. So what this is running ads and saying, hey, like download my blah, 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 blah. And then they fill out their information and they download. Typically it's a lead magnet of some sort. We've used this a lot as well. Have gotten a super high volume of leads from the lead form funnels. We've definitely closed deals from lead form funnel. Problem is going back to what I've explained earlier is the chase of unqualified people. A lot of agencies, oh, I'm gonna create this lead magnet. And the lead magnet is like basic for like people just starting off. Put yourself in a business owner who can afford your services shoes. Like one, is that lead magnet even gonna be attractive? Two, am I gonna sit there and read your PDF or whatever it is that you're sending to me? Likely not. And on the flip side, if people do fill out the form, when they do fill out the form, you're going to have to chase them down. In addition, like the only way to scale like something like a lead form ad is to simply just spend more money. If your lead form ad isn't actually converting for you, then it can be pretty challenging to actually get deals from a lead form funnel. With the lead form funnel, we're gonna give this a C. So now that you know the different ways to get clients, it's time to start executing. And if you don't know how to implement something like the authority funnel, you're never going to be able to get to that S tier status of actually getting clients for your business. That's why in the video on the screen, I break down exactly how you can steal and use the authority funnel and plug it into your agency to start predictably getting clients as soon as 7 days from now. So go ahead and click on that video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.